Hello! So I've collected some bits around the woods and got things like fir cones and acorns. And we're going to make a wall hanging, or you could make these into gift tags or even decorations. And as you can see, they've got impressions of wildflowers and acorns and thistles, all sorts of things. So whatever you find, you can try and see if you can make a nice design. So I'll show you how I start. I'm using Daz, which is a modelling paste, but you can use salt dough. There's lots of recipes online, or Fimo, which you bake in the oven, which you might have used before. But anyway, so I've got a selection of things. Got some wild geraniums, which are quite delicate, and also you can so this one's got love written on it, but you can add flowers as well. So I've got some stamps which you may have at home, so you can write your own words in as well, which would be quite a nice present to give to somebody. So start off with a ball. I like to roll it up. Actually, I've got paper down because I found the best thing to work on was paper, because it stopped the clay from sticking, but once it gets a bit wet then you'll need to change it. But anyway, so I start off rolling with a ball just to make it nice and smooth. I've got some water here as well, if in case it gets too dry. And I'm using a rolling pin, but you could use a mug, maybe like one like that, without a handle, or a jam jar. So you need to go about quite thin, actually, maybe 1 or 2 millimeters, not centimeters. And once you've got it nice and flat, well, you pick one of your, let's try this. This is quite delicate, but I think it will make a good impression, nice print. So you can just press it in with your hands, but I like to use a rolling pin just to make it a bit deeper, and that works quite well. And it's best to roll it out before you cut, because when you press, the clay expands and then you'll get a wonky edge on your circle. So these are just raided the larder. I'm using these kitchen cutters. So you cut round and you peel off, and I've got some water just because the edge is a bit rough when you cut it. And then if you want to use these as a wall hanging, you'll need to make a hole in it, and I'm using the end of a paintbrush, but you can use a pencil if you want. Just make a little hole, make sure it's big enough and goes right through for your twine or rope or string, whatever you're going to use. So there you go, so you've made your first wall hanging. So this will take about, well, overnight. I leave it overnight to dry, put it out the way so you don't destroy it with some rolling pin action later. And we'll make another one with a more deeper impression. Maybe we'll use an acorn. So if you haven't got any circle cutters, you can use a knife. I'll do a knife for this one. And let's do an acorn. So these you can probably just press in with your hands. Quite nice to get the stalk, and that's worked quite well actually. And if you've got another little one, it's quite nice to have two, so like a little friend. So let's make this one into, I've just got a normal knife, make sure it's not too sharp, and I'm just going to cut that. Actually, you can dip it in water if it's a bit dry. Actually, the clay's gone very dry because it's really hot today. Oops. And then just smooth the edges off with a bit of water. And if you want to hang this, don't forget make a hole at the end. These would be quite pretty hanging on a tree at Christmas. You could personalise them for your family and friends. Yes, so that's worked quite nicely. So let's leave that to dry. Actually, I'll show you that one. And we'll do a more delicate one. This is a little geranium, but it's very delicate, but it leaves quite a nice flower image. which will probably show up when if you paint it. So I've got another bit of clay here. It's really gone dry. If that is all wrong. So you'll need to be quite careful with these because they're very fine petals. So just sort of press them in with your hand, and then I'm going to give it a bit of rolling pin action to see if we can make it more visible. You have to be careful when you peel it off. Well, it's worked quite nicely. You can just about see it. I think if you put some paint on that, you would see it. So we'll do that one as a, let's do that one as a heart because that's quite pretty. You could just make these and add a little ribbon, just use it as a gift tag at Christmas or for your birthday present, or even just use it as a wall hanging on its own. I mean, these look quite nice, the colour they are, but I think what we'll do tomorrow when they'll dry, we'll give them a paint and see different varieties of things that you can do. So that's it really, these are the things we've made. Nice variety of hanging things. You can do bigger ones and little ones as well. And tomorrow we'll come back and see how they've dried. See you tomorrow.